Thank you very much for enrolling in your Indiana Dealer Pre-License course. My name is Dallas Johnson, and I'm the lead instructor of the Automobile Dealer Training Association, and I will be giving your training, so I would like to welcome you and congratulate you on your decision to start this incredible business. And I want to give you an idea of all the content that we're going to cover in your Indiana Dealer Pre-License course. We're going to cover several training units. I'm going to show you some contact information. We're going to complete your pre-license steps. I'll show you how to apply for your license. I'm going to show you how to complete titles as a dealer, because you're going to complete titles differently than you ever have in the past. We're going to do a deal, so we'll go through the whole transaction process. I'm going to show you how to maintain your records. I'll show you how easy it is to collect and remit the sales tax that you collect when you sell a vehicle. I'm going to show you how to legally use your dealer plates and your interim plates. We're going to talk about ethics, fines, and dealer license suspensions. I'm going to show you how to choose a business entity. We're going to talk about advertising and deceptive trade practices, odometer disclosure, and odometer fraud. I'm also going to show you how to run what are called vehicle history reports when you're buying vehicles. Then we'll delve into the FTC Buyer's Guide laws, federal laws, financing, buy here, pay here, repossessions. We'll talk about dealer floor plans, hiring employees, and prohibited employment practices, and also some small business administration resources if you're looking for capital and things like that. And at the very end of the course, I'm going to show you some amazing dealer management software, which will basically do everything in the course with a couple clicks of the mouse. So first, we're going to get started with your Indiana Dealer Pre-License course by giving you some really great contact information. And I'm going to cover what are also known as your pre-license steps. Dealer licenses in Indiana are regulated by the Indiana Secretary of State. And the Secretary of State has an office known as the Auto Dealer Services Division. And they're going to process your initial dealer license application. And they're going to be a great resource for you if you have any questions when you're about to obtain your dealer's license, or maybe you've just obtained your dealer's license, or maybe you have questions in the future when you've been a licensed dealer here in the state of Indiana for 20 years, you can contact the Auto Dealer Services Division with any questions that you may have. Here's their contact information. Auto Dealer Services, they're going to be at 302 West Washington, room E111 in Indianapolis, 46204. And you can call them 314-234-7190, or you can drop them an email at dealers@sos.in.gov. Now, I want you to be aware there are two different websites that we're going to cover in this course, and we're going to jump onto each of these websites several times during your course. First, you have dealers.sos.in.gov, and we also have in.gov/sos/dealer. So let's go ahead and visit dealers.sos.in.gov first. This is the Auto Dealer Services Division's official website that you see right here. And we're going to go to this website several times during your dealer training course. In just a few moments, we're going to apply for your dealer license, as you see right here. We're also going to connect to online services, which is also referred to as the dealer portal, which will allow you to check your application status, make changes to your dealer's license in the future, and will also allow you to order what is known as interim license plates. And those are those paper license plates you see on vehicles that have been recently sold. I will show you how to order your interim license plates later in your course, and you can do that right here on the dealer portal. You can search all the licensed dealers throughout the state of Indiana, and you can file a complaint against a dealer, but just as important, your customer can file a complaint against you in the future when you have your dealer's license. And I will cover this process extensively later in your dealer course. I'm going to do my very best to give you as much information as possible in your course, so hopefully you'll avoid any customer complaints in the future. There is another website that every licensed Indiana dealer needs to be aware of, and that's in.gov/sos/dealers. This website is a little different from the Auto Dealer Services Division website that I just showed you. This is a Secretary of State website that has a lot of very helpful information that you'll benefit from when you're operating your new business as a licensed motor vehicle dealer. On the front page, you can view important announcements regarding the operation of a dealership in Indiana. And so here you see some important announcements to be aware of, including any recent updates to rules or laws or guidelines. Over to the left there, you'll have a lot of helpful information that you can access, such as the online help guides for dealers. You can click any of the links shown and you will see step-by-step detailed instructions on every dealer subject matter that you can imagine. If you have questions on how to access plates on demand, which, by the way, we'll cover extensively later in your course, you can click on the Access Plates on Demand link, and then you'll easily be able to view detailed instructions on how to access plates on demand. You can also access all the forms that we're going to cover in your dealer training course. And I want you to know we are going to cover a lot of forms in your course. At any time, you can access most of those forms right here on the forms page at in.gov/SOS/dealers. So you might make a note of that website address. It's going to allow you to print most of the forms that we cover in this course. I also want you to be aware that you can download the state forms plus a lot of other federal forms that you'll be using at indiana.dealerslicense.com. I'll show you how to do that here in just a little bit. And at the end of your dealer course, I will discuss what's known as dealer management software that should print up all the forms for your dealership automatically and will actually simplify all the subject matter that we do discuss in the course. And I'll give you a real detailed overview of dealer management software at the end of your course. Once again, that contact information for Auto Dealer Services is 317-234-7190, or you can drop them an email, dealers@sos.in.gov, dealers.sos.in.gov for dealer portal, and in.gov/SOS/dealers for dealer guides and dealer forms. The first thing we need to do is decide on which type of license is going to be best for you. And the state has several license categories, and I want to explain each one of these for you. You'll need an auto auction license if you're opening an auto auction. If you are auctioning more than 3 motor vehicles or watercraft within a 12-month period, you'll need an auto auction license. So that's if you're auctioning vehicles and opening an auto auction. You'll need an automotive salvage recycler if you're rebuilding salvage vehicles. So if you are selling used major components of a motor vehicle, or if you are servicing wrecked, dismantled, or you compact or crush or otherwise destroy a motor vehicle and sell the major components for scrap or metal, then you will certainly need an automotive recycler's license. So please keep that in mind. If you rebuild wrecked or dismantled motor vehicles for resale, you'll need that license. Or if you engage in the business of storing, disposing, salvaging, or recycling motor vehicles or vehicle hulls or parts of motor vehicles as well. A converter manufacturer license is needed if you're converting vehicles. You need a converter manufacturer license if you modify previously assembled or manufactured vehicles. So an example of this would be if you are adapting a vehicle to be used by a rescue vehicle or fire department or something like that, or if you are refitting a new van to requirements of those with physical disabilities. So please keep that one in mind as well. Dealer, new or used, allows you to sell new or used motor vehicles. And we're going to be concentrating on the used motor vehicle dealer licenses. So I'm assuming that's the type of license that you're going to be obtaining. And you have to have that license if you sell or advertise at least 12 used motor vehicles in a 12-month period. And that's going to include semi-trailers, trailers, off-road vehicles, snowmobiles, mini trucks, and recreational vehicles as well. So we're going to really concentrate on the used motor vehicle dealer license in your course. A distributor license allows you to distribute vehicles from manufacturers, and a manufacturer's license allows you to manufacture new vehicles. A new manufactured home community sales lot license allows you to sell manufactured homes, and a transfer dealer license is what you'll need if you transfer ownership of at least 12 motor vehicles during a period of 12 months as a result of your primary business. Now, this would be financial institutions, insurance companies, and vehicles dealing in repossessed vehicles or salvage vehicles. So you do not qualify for a dealer transfer license if you're someone whose business is limiting to providing towing or transportation of motor vehicles. Transport operators. If you are an Indiana business that furnishes drivers and operators for the purpose of transporting motor vehicles from one place to another by driveway or towing methods, you would need that license. And a watercraft license allows you to sell watercraft, such as a boat. I want you to know If you hold a used motor vehicle dealer license, you can sell up to 5 watercrafts with your dealer's license in a year. But if you want to sell 6 or more watercraft per year, then you'll also need to hold a watercraft dealer's license. So please make a note of that important information. The first thing we're going to cover is your pre-licensing steps. The reason these are called pre-license steps is because you must complete all the steps before you apply for your dealer's license, and that's why they're called pre-license steps. If you skip any steps that you see on a screen, you will not be able to apply for your dealer's license. So I want you to be aware, you must complete all the steps, then you apply for your dealer's license. So we're going to cover how to meet your building and zoning requirements. I'm going to show you how to register with the Indiana Secretary of State. I'm going to show you how to obtain what's called a vehicle merchandising certificate or a dealer bond. I'm going to show you how to get liability insurance, employer identification number, retail merchant certificate, background check, your education requirements. Then I'm going to show you how to submit your actual dealer license application. I want to cover a very important part of the pre-license process, and that is your building requirements. You must have a bricks and mortar location for your dealer's license. The state of Indiana would never allow like a cloud-based license, which would allow you to basically show up at the Home Depot parking lot and sell a vehicle, then disappear forever. The state wants to make sure that your dealer license is located at a building so your customers will know how to locate and contact you after you sell them a motor vehicle. The state does have some building requirements that you're going to need to be aware of. Your building cannot be a residence or a temporary location. You cannot have a dealer license at your home or a temporary location. Your license location must be a permanent building. You also must be able to accept mail unless there's no service by the United States Postal Service. No other dealer can operate at that location. The state does not want another licensed dealer operating at the same address. Only one dealer license is allowed per address. You must be in Indiana, obviously. Your building must be located in the state. It must be accessible by the public for at least 30 hours per week during normal business hours or 20 hours per week with a telephone answering or mobile service offered at an additional 10 hours per week. So I want to kind of cover that again with you. We're going to talk about business hours in just a moment, but you need to be open at least 30 hours per week, or you need to be open at least 20 hours a week with your cell phone or answering service available another 10 hours a week. And that number for which must be identified on your business sign. So I'm going to cover that process a little bit more extensively here in just a few moments. Your dealership must be staffed during your hours of operation. So your building must have at minimum an office with at least 100 square feet. So no matter what location you're using, you want to make sure that you have at least 100 square feet dedicated solely to your retail office. And your office must be furnished and have functioning utilities and be overall reflective of a functional auto dealership. The state does not want you completing motor vehicle documentation, say for example, in a garage next to a truck up on a lift. They want you to have an office that is conducive for motor vehicle transactions to be conducted. So please remember, you must have an office in the building that's at least 100 square feet with office furniture and functioning utilities. Your display area. Your display area must be at least 1,300 square feet with display space for at least 10 vehicles. It must be well lit during hours of operation, and you must have some customer parking, and you may not house a secondary business, and it cannot be in a retail complex such as a strip mall. Now, I want you to be aware, this is where all of your retail sales activity will occur. When you become a licensed Indiana motor vehicle dealer, your retail sales activity, in most cases, must take place only at your licensed location. You cannot show your vehicles at non-licensed locations unless you're participating in what is known as an off-site sale. Now, if you're participating in an off-site sale, it must be within 20 miles of your licensed location. You can participate in no more than 3 off-site sales per year, and you must submit State Form 55938 10 days or 2 calendar weeks in advance. Here's a copy of State Form 55938. So if you are participating in one of 3 registered offsite sales per year, you're allowed to do this. But otherwise, all of your sales activity must take place at your licensed location. You cannot show your vehicles at any other location unless it's an official offsite show that has been registered with the state with State Form 55938. Your location must be zoned for a dealer's license, and you're going to need to submit zoning affidavit, State Form 55936. Now, the signature on a zoning affidavit must not be more than 90 days old. And here you are going to see a copy of that form. You will need to make one visit to your city hall, or if you're in a rural area, you can just visit your county courthouse. Just visit the office that handles zoning and have someone from that office sign this form. You're going to need to scan the signed copy on your computer, and you're going to upload a copy through the dealer portal when you apply, and this will show dealer services that the building you are using is zoned for used dealer's license. Please be aware the signature must not be more than 90 days old when you're applying for your license. I recommend contacting your local zoning office before you rent, lease, or buy a building to house your dealer's license. I have spoken with more than one person that actually purchased real estate with the intent of obtaining a dealer's license, only to have a local city hall tell them the building is not zoned for a dealer's license. Be sure whatever location you're going to use for your dealer's license is zoned correctly and must allow a dealer's license. So be sure you enter all that information correctly. And as you see here, the zoning official must sign and date that form. So once again, that's going to be State Form 55936. You must submit some photographs with your dealer license application. And this is going to give dealer services a record of what your location looks like. So you will need photographs of your advertised sign at the location. You'll need photographs of your display area, the exterior of the office, the exterior of the location that shows customer parking. You'll need a picture of the interior office, including your office furnishings and your proof of utilities. You need to submit photographs of your sales lot, your storage lots if you have any. And after you've taken these photographs, be sure to load them on your computer, and you are going to need to upload them through the dealer portal when you're applying for your license, which I'll show you how in just a few moments. Sunday sales activity. Indiana law requires dealers that are selling motor vehicles to remain closed on Sundays. And I want to repeat that very important information. Indiana law requires dealers that are only selling motor vehicles to remain closed on Sundays. Sunday sales are only allowed for motorcycle dealers or trailer dealers or camper dealers, okay? So if you sell motor vehicles, you must remain closed on Sundays. If you're only selling trailers or non-propelled vehicles or motorcycles, then you are allowed to have Sunday sales activity. So I want to really make sure that you're very clear. Sunday motor vehicle sales activity by a licensed motor vehicle dealer is a violation of state law and will lead to extensive fines and or dealer suspension and or dealer license revocation. So rest up on Sundays. If you're selling motor vehicles, you can have no Sunday sales activity on a Sunday when you are selling motor vehicles. As a reminder, you must identify your building with a sign. So you need to have a conspicuous permanent sign in the same name that's on your dealer's license, and it must be viewable from the nearest roadway. Any sign or printing company should be able to produce a sign for you at a minimum cost. And I do recommend that you have your dealership name at least 6 inches high or larger on that sign so it can be viewed from a distance. And be sure to post your phone number and your hours as well. You're going to need to register your new business with the Indiana Secretary of State. The Indiana Secretary of State is not only the leading election authority in Indiana, they are also the leading recorder of business entities, and they want a record of the business that you're getting ready to open. So you're going to register your new business with the Secretary of State and submit your business entity documents to dealer services through the dealer portal when you're applying for your dealer's license. Before you get started, you want to create an account at Access Indiana. By registering with Access Indiana, you'll easily be able to register your business with the Secretary of State, and later on, you can use your Access Indiana registration to apply for your retail merchant certificate, which I'm going to show you here in a moment. And that's going to expedite the process of legally charging sales tax when you sell a vehicle, which is very easy to do. And we're going to cover that process extensively later on in your dealer training course. So You're going to get started by visiting nbiz.in.gov, and you're going to click on the text that reads, "Don't have Access Indiana account." So since we're just getting started, we do not yet have an Access Indiana account. So you'll click on that link. You're going to enter your email address. You'll check your email for a verification code that confirms your email. So you're going to check your email and you're going to copy that verification code like you see here. Then you'll enter that verification code and then you'll need to create a password. Be sure to keep a record of all your usernames and passwords, obviously. Then you can sign in. And here you see your new dashboard for Access Indiana. So at the top of the screen, you're going to click on the link that says Start a New Business. As you see on this screen, this process takes about 15 minutes. I think it might take a little bit less than that. But you're going to need your business name, your business address. And when you're ready, you'll click the blue Next button at the bottom right of the screen. I recommend clicking on the blue Guide Me button so you'll easily be guided through the entire registration process. And now you're going to answer these questions on this page. Make sure you're always answering all questions correctly regarding your situation. For training purposes, I'm going to show you how to register as a limited liability company or an LLC. I am not telling you that you need to start your dealership as an LLC. I'm just going to show you how to register as an LLC in this training scenario. You might want to seek legal advice to learn which type of business entity is best for you. Later on in your dealer training course, we will have an entire unit that explains the advantages and disadvantages of different types of business entities. When you're ready, click Next. Now let's go ahead and search for a new name for our new business. The state wants to make sure that your business name is distinguishable from all other business names that are already in use here in the state. So we're going to do what's called a business name search like you see on the screen right now. So for this example, let's try Indy Motors LLC. Well, as you can see on the screen here, Indy Motors LLC is not available. So you will need to search for another name that's not being used by another business in the state. So I typed in Indiana Motors LLC, and at the time this video is being recorded, it states on the screen in green letters, based on the initial search, it appears the name is available. And the Secretary of State's office will make the final determination regarding name availability. So while you are on the NBIZ website, you can go ahead and register the name that you want to use for your dealership. You're going to enter the start dates, and if you want the registration to be perpetual or if you want the registration to end on a certain date. Unless you plan on closing, which I hope you never do, you might want to register as a perpetual business. You're going to enter your dealership address, as you see right here. Verify all the information on the screen and make sure it's correct. You're going to check all these boxes only if they are true. So make sure all these boxes are true. You're going to enter your name and your title. Then you can pay for your registration, and you will be taken to a secure payment page that accepts payments on behalf of the state of Indiana. After you pay your registration fee, you'll see your payment confirmation, and then you are asked for your Federal Employment Identification Number, which is your FEIN, and I'm going to show you how to get your Federal Employment Identification Number in just a few moments. But if you want to click this button to be taken to the IRS website to get your FEIN, you can. But I am going to recommend that you have your Federal Employment ID before you register with the Secretary of State, which will make the process of registering with the Secretary of State a little quicker. And I'm going to show you how to get your FEIN in just a few moments. You are then asked if you have any employees in the state of Indiana. So be sure to answer these questions correctly. And the Department of Workforce Development will then determine if you are required to register with them. If you have no employees to register, then you will not be required to register with the Department of Workforce Development. But if you do have employees, you will certainly need to register with the Department of Workforce Development. Then, upon your approval, you're going to see your official Secretary of State filing document like this one you see right here. You want to print a few copies of this, but more importantly, you want to save a copy on your computer because you will be required to upload any Secretary of State filing documents, and I'm going to show you how to do that when you apply for your license here in just a few moments. So make sure you scan a copy of that on your computer and be ready to upload your Secretary of State filing documents when you apply for your license. I want you to know about a federal law that now is in full effect, which is called Beneficial Ownership Information, which is required by all domestic business entities. All domestic business entities are now required to do what's called a Beneficial Ownership Report. So any person that's starting a business will have 30 calendar days to file after you have registered with any Secretary of State. So you can register that business at boiefiling.finecen.gov. Just click on the beneficial ownership reporting link like you see right here, and you will be walked step by step through this mandated reporting requirement. I want you to be aware that any person who willfully fails to comply with the beneficial ownership information reporting may be subject to civil penalties of $500 a day that are adjusted for inflation and up to $10,000 of fines and 2 years of imprisonment. So once again, you can file your mandated beneficial ownership information at boiefiling.finecen.gov. If you have any questions whatsoever about any type of business registrations, I want to give you some great contact information with the Indiana Secretary of State's office. You can reach them at Indiana Secretary of State Business Services. They're at 200 West Washington, room 201, Indianapolis, 46204. Here's a great phone number for you as well if you have any type of Secretary of State registration questions or business entity questions. That's 317-234-9768. That's the Business Services Division of the Secretary of State, and they're going to be a wealth of information for you if you have any type of registration or business entity questions. Next, I want to talk to you about what is called your Vehicle Merchandising Certificate or your dealer surety bond. You must obtain a $25,000 bond. And you're going to have to submit the most current form, which is 53966. It must be signed, and you must be bonded your entire time that you have a dealer's license. Otherwise, your dealer license could be suspended. A bond just helps protect customers from the small group of fraudulent dealers that operate in the state. Let me give you an example of when a bond could come into the play of your dealership. Let's say you've got some old school, unethical guy that was able to get through the background check and got himself a dealer's license and sold 3 vehicles, and he was aware that those vehicles had defective transmissions and didn't disclose those defects to the customers. Well, he's broken multiple state and federal laws. When you're aware of a mechanical defect, obviously you'll need to disclose that to the customer in writing, and I'll show you a form you can do that later in the course. But if any dealer is conducting fraudulent sales activity, more than likely they're going to get their dealer's license revoked permanently because the state has zero tolerance for any dealer that's conducting fraudulent sales activity. So let's say this dealer has lost his license. How do these former customers seek legal or financial recourse? Well, if this dealer's lost his license and he's broke and bankrupt and doesn't have a penny to his name, the customers can sue the bond. So it does a couple of things. Number one, it protects consumers from the very small handful of dealers that are conducting fraudulent transactions in the state of Indiana, and also ensures that you operate with a very high level of ethical standards. My best advice for you during this course is to give full disclosure on your vehicle. If you're aware of any mechanical defects, let the customer know. You might tell them, hey, listen, I drove this vehicle the other day. I felt like it was pulling to the left a little bit. I think I heard a little bit of noise in the rear end. And come on back here and take a look at this dent here in the back left fender. Make sure you disclose everything to the customer before the test drive. You're going to build that credibility, and you will actually see referrals, great online reviews, and I predict, will have entire families that will come back and purchase vehicles from you because they trust you, and nobody's going to sue your bond because you didn't tell them about that defective transmission. So a bond must be issued by a corporate surety company that's licensed to do business in the state of Indiana, and it must have your exact DBA and dealership name and location on that for an accurate application to the state. So, does a $25,000 dealer surety bond cost you $25,000? No, of course not. The price of your bond is based on your credit score. So as you see on the screen here, it kind of gives you a general idea of what you're going to pay. If you have exceptional credit, you'll pay $100 a year. If you're getting below the 600 range, you might be paying $750 or more a year, and you can easily finance that bond. I want to make sure that you never stay out of this business because maybe you've got a bad credit score and your bond's a little expensive. You can make payments on your bond, and when you build your credit score up and see your credit rating go up, your bond price will go down in the future. So I'm going to really strongly encourage, if you do have really bad credit, I still encourage you to go ahead and get the license. Maybe you need to make payments on your bond, and I can almost guarantee you'll easily make those payments with the markup of the vehicles that you're selling after you get your license. I want to show you a bond quoting system that the association has built. Since your dealer surety bond is based on your credit score, this bond quoting system will take a look at your credit score, then send your bond quote to one of over 30 carriers, And your bond quote will be sent to a bond company that specializes in issuing bonds to persons with similar credit scores. And so hopefully that'll save you a substantial amount of time and money not having to contact several bond quoting companies to obtain your bond. So to get started, you can go to indianadealerbond.com. Once again, that is indianadealerbond.com. And you're going to confirm your dealership name, as you see right here. And on the next screen, you will need to check the blue box that says New Business, since you're starting a new business. And you're going to need to select the correct blue button. And I'm assuming you're obtaining a used motor vehicle dealer license. And then you're going to enter your phone number, your email address, and your address. Now, before you have your dealer license, you can actually enter your home address here, but you will need to make sure that this address is updated with your current license location when you actually obtain your bond. But if you need to get a quick quote here, you can actually do that before you obtain your license. You're going to enter your name, and finally, you're going to enter your Social Security number, because any bond quoting system will require your Social Security number. And this system will do a soft credit check that will not affect your credit score. And I do want you to be aware, as you can see my face and our name up there, we would receive a very small stipend if you do purchase your bond through here. And you'll receive a confirmation that your bond quote has been submitted, and you should be able to purchase the bond on the spot. So the bond will just pop up automatically on your screen like you see right here. So this is your bond. And there's a couple of things I want you to be aware of. The bond is pre-signed by the bond carrier, but you will need to sign the bond as well. So you cannot forget to sign your bond. One of the most common mistakes during the dealer license application process is when a bond is submitted and was not signed by the dealer license applicant. So please do not forget to sign your bond, as you see right here. And so then you want to make sure you got a copy of that on your computer, and then you're going to easily upload that through your computer, and that's going to show the state that you have met your bonding requirements. So please keep that in mind. Also, you can go ahead, if you need to go ahead and, say, for example, get your own bond through another company, you can go to your favorite search engine and just type in Indiana Dealer Bond like that. Now, I do want you to be aware that you can never let your bond expire. So you have to be bonded your entire year. Please do keep that very important information in mind. Next, I want to talk about a very, very important component in any licensed Indiana dealership, and that is your insurance. Indiana law is very clear. Indiana requires every motor vehicle driven on any roadway to be insured, so you're going to have dealer insurance before you apply for your dealer's license. Any dealer that does not maintain financial responsibility could face penalties, including possible license revocations. So to ensure that you are insured, you have to show that the state that you have an insurance policy in effect before they'll issue your license. And I want to talk about a couple of different types of insurance policies. First of all, there's dealer liability, and this is just like liability on your own vehicle. Let's say, for example, in a rare scenario that your customer wrecks one of your demos into another vehicle, it's going to fix the other vehicle because it's dealer liability. That's going to be the very minimum amount that you'll have to get your dealer's license. There's also what's called dealer's open lot, which you might think of as full coverage, but it's called dealer's open lot. Dealer's open lot does not cover a specific amount of vehicles. It's going to cover a dollar amount. So let's just say, for example, you've built up $50,000 worth of inventory. You need $50,000 worth of open lot coverage because, in the state, there's hail, there's tornadoes. I've seen more than one dealer go into financial ruin because they didn't have enough coverage on their inventory. So if you start building up inventory, make sure and upgrade your insurance to dealer's open lot. These others are going to be optional. Garage keepers. If you repair customers' vehicles, you'll need garage keepers. So if you're keeping a customer's vehicle overnight, you need garage keepers. And I always say, if you keep a garage, you'll need garage keepers. Errors and omissions would cover you if you made mistakes on paperwork. Employment practices would cover you if, say, for example, maybe you're not paying an employee a correct wage. Workers' compensation covers you if an employee gets injured on the job. And false pretense would cover you if somebody bought a vehicle from you under false pretense. Like if I came into your dealership and bought a vehicle from you with a fake ID, then false pretense insurance would cover you for that. So you can certainly contact your insurance agent and talk to him or her about those coverages. Now, very important to be aware, the minimum coverage to get a dealer's license must be $100,000 for bodily injury to one person, $300,000 per accident, and $50,000 for property damage. I want to make sure that you're aware of this. Tell your insurance agent that you need a $100,000, $300,000, $50,000 policy. That's $100,000 bodily injury to one person, $300,000 per accident, and $500,000 for property damage. Very important to be aware. The certificate holder on your insurance policy must be the Indiana Secretary of State Auto Dealer Services Division. Very important that you're aware of that information. And you're going to submit your Accord 25 form, which I'm going to show you here in just a moment. There are a couple of factors that are going to affect your dealer insurance pricing. First of all, your driving record. So if you got a great driving record, your insurance will be lower. If you got a horrendous driving record, then your insurance is going to be higher, obviously. Your dealership ownership experience. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but since you're probably getting a dealer license the first time, you're probably going to pay the highest rates for your first 3 years in business. But once you have a dealer's license for 3 years, there are several other companies that will quote you. So you should expect a dramatic drop in your policy pricing once you've had a license for 3 years. Geographic area, as is within any insurance, the closer you get to a downtown core, the higher your rates. The more you're out into a suburban or rural area, then the lower the rates as well. The number of dealer plates, you always want to operate with the least number of dealer plates, and that will actually allow you to have lower insurance. So where are you going to get a quote? You can contact your insurance agent or ask other dealers. I always recommend doing a quick internet search. As you can see here, I just typed in Indiana dealer insurance, and I'm going to recommend that you get at least 2 quotes, because what I've seen here is a huge variety of policy pricing for dealers. You might see one insurance agent that's asking $600 or $700 a year, and then the insurance agent right across the street from her might be asking $4,000 or $5,000 a year for the identical coverage. So I'm going to strongly encourage you to get at least 2 or more quotes. And once you got your policy in effect, you're going to get what's called your Accord 25 form. And this is your Accord 25 form, and you're going to need to submit your Accord form with your dealer license application, and this shows the state that you are insured. And as you see at the bottom, as clearly printed on this, the form, the certificate holder must be the Indiana Secretary of State Auto Dealer Services Division.